Mickey talks the truth.
Okay. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind.
Hey, listen, you are now rocking with Mickey Truth. She live up to her name, not the fame. So make sure y'all subscribe to her channel and stay updated on what's real. Bye.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey.
Y'all already know all information contained on this live is for entertainment, heavy on the mother effing entertainment, educational purposes only. All information used on this live is per the Fair Use Act, and any conclusion that you draw is on you and your mama, not nobody on this channel, this panel, or in this chat. And another disclaimer for those who have not read the description to my channel, I am not a lawyer. Nothing I say should be used as legal advice because it's not legal advice, okay? If you do need legal advice, however, you can go talk to an actual licensed lawyer or attorney of your choosing, all right? And like the disclaimer says in the video, that you can actually see the consequences of anything that you try to run with from the channel is definitely on you, all right? So with that being said, hey, just sit back, enjoy my opinion based off my free thoughts of what I'm listening to, and y'all let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let's get started.
You can't handle the truth.
Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend to pull up on your girl Mickey Truth. We is live with it. Good morning, Truth team. All right, y'all. So for those who joined me the other day, what's up, Big D? We were watching the hearing for the high school graduation mass shooting suspects. I just realized that their continuation starts in a few minutes, but it was another case I wanted to watch that was intriguing to me, right? In regards to the woman who killed a foster family, okay? And some of y'all might be like, what? So a little background on it is that Siobhan Vincent, something like that, okay, is charged with double murder of her daughter's foster family, okay? And she will be going to trial. But this is a hearing that took place yesterday that I missed. I had some other things going on. I couldn't go live, okay? The victims were Gregory Callahan and the co-defendants are Gregory Callahan, Keith Finley, right? And they murdered back in January of this year Jennifer Burnham and Stephen Smith, okay? And again, they did it because her 4-year-old daughter was taken, okay? And pretty much they gonna outline the rest in court. So what I'm gonna do, I think we just gonna go ahead and go on with this since this is what I scheduled. We'll follow up on the second part of the graduation mass shooting later. Since it's not like that they're actively in trial right now, so we can always watch that later. Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, I've been trying to do trials in between our regular urban trials because that's a long gap. And, I got to have content in between. And I'm kind of getting bored of doing this hood foolery stuff that I've been doing the past couple of days with the Lil Dirt case because, my people that watch trials, I'm more easier to be able to talk to y'all about actual legal processes than just regular, people. And when I do videos, I just get the most. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started with it because it's about 3 hours long. So, yeah, let's get started. The good thing that it's not live, we can skip through this part.
You said it count.
11, I think.
Well, no, that was count 11. But previous to that, you said you don't intend to proceed on count 5.
Count 4, Judge.
Okay.
If I said 5, I misspoke. Apologize.
Yeah, I don't.
And whenever the court is ready for me to proceed, I do have, I believe, several stipulations as well. Thank you. My understanding is that counsel is willing to stipulate for purposes of preliminary examination, and specifically this would pertain itself to counts 2 and 3 in that same file, 25 FB-1002. That defendant does have a conviction for controlled substance possession of cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic, less than 25 grams. That actually is a conviction date of January 19th, 2017. And it comes from Wayne County.
2017.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, it's further my understanding that counsel is willing to stipulate to the admission of the autopsy reports in this matter. I have marked them as people's proposed exhibits 1 and 2. Number 1 is the autopsy report for Jennifer Bernhardt, and number 2 is the autopsy report for Steve Smith.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
So without further ado, I'll just do this. I will, those being marked, I will read statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach? Thank you. Your Honor, I believe that's all that I have preliminary to place on the record.
Anything preliminary?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very good. May I call you first?
Thank you, Judge. Call Jeffrey Bernhardt.
Now, I believe, isn't Jeffrey Bernhardt her co-defendant? I think that may be her co-defendant. If I'm not mistaken, I don't took my notes down, but I think that may be her co-defendant. Well, we'll find out if he is.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
No, I don't think that's
Go ahead,
co-defendant.
say your name, say and spell your name out.
Jeffrey Allen Bernhard, JEFFREYALAN, B as in boy, ERNHARD.
All right, may I call?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bernhardt, good afternoon.
Hi.
Do you remember January 1st of this year?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember how you spent that day?
Yes,
Where did you spend that day?
at our home,
What is that address?
2053 Nowler Bend Road, Whitmore Lake, Michigan.
Hold on, is this one of the victims? This may be one of the victims.
48189.
That here in Washtenaw County.
Correct.
Who did you spend that day with?
So at home was my wife, my daughter, my foster daughter, and my father-in-law lives with us.
So let's run through their names if we could.
Sure. My wife's name is Jennifer Bernhard. My daughter's name is Olivia Bernhard. Foster daughter is True Vincent. My father-in-law is Stevie Smith.
On that date, how old were Olivia and True?
Olivia was 9 at the time and True was 4.
What did you guys do that day?
So that was New Year's Day. We were basically taking a quiet day at home. We had family over the night before on New Year's Eve. Probably 15 or 20 people in our home had dinner, spent the time with family. So it was a lot of work preparing for that day and up to that. So we just decided to have a quiet day at home, cleaning up after the night before. Didn't do much that was significant outside of just being at home.
You recognize, sir, that you were here to talk about a very significant incident that happened that day, correct?
Correct.
Excuse me.
Yes. time of day did that incident take place?
As I recall, it was early evening. Pretty sure it was after dinner. We had leftovers, but it was before the girls started their bedtime routine.
So sometime after dinner, but before bedtime?
Yes.
Okay. And being that time of year, I would imagine it was dark outside.
Yes.
What did you do after dinner?
So, after dinner, from what I recall, the girls were just playing. We cleaned up after dinner, and I went upstairs to do something. I don't remember exactly what. It wasn't anything that was significant enough to remember.
And did something catch your attention?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I was in our bedroom, and our bedroom is over the garage. And in our bedroom that's attached to the bathroom that's attached to our bedroom, there's a window that overlooks the driveway. And I had heard the noise outside, so I went into the bathroom and looked out the window, and I saw a car outside in our driveway that I didn't recognize.
Can you describe the car at all? Do you recall it at all?
I didn't really get a good look looking down from above. Didn't get a really good look at it.
Do you remember what the sound was that caught your attention?
No, it was, it was obviously the car, whether it was a car door or something like that, but I did hear something in the driveway.
So you look down, you see this car that you don't recognize. What did you do next?
So I left the bathroom, walked down the hall and walked down the stairs. And my wife was right at the bottom of the stairs near our front entrance. And I told her, I said, there's somebody at our house. And we live on a private road in a cul-de-sac, so it's not too often we get cars. However, her response to me was that it's likely an Amazon delivery because we still had a few things we'd ordered for Christmas that hadn't arrived yet, even though it was past Christmas. So it just made sense that it was an Amazon delivery. And typically in the evenings, it was, from what we noticed, the Amazon trucks deliver during the day, and then they typically have private individuals deliver. So if there was a car or a private vehicle, it made sense that it was an Amazon delivery.
So what did you do at that point?
So that just made sense to me. So I told my wife, I said, okay, I'll go get it. And I walked through our kitchen towards the garage door. Typically, the Amazon delivery, they drop something off like right near our garage. So my intention was to go get that package and go through the garage.
And did you make it all the way to the door?
No.
Did something happen?
Yeah. So at that moment, I walked through the kitchen, and before I was even able to put my shoes on to walk outside, I heard excuse me, I heard commotion, some noises coming from the front door area, and then I heard some screams.
Can you describe for us what commotion and noises you heard coming from the front door area?
Yeah. So I heard some, like, what I describe as like some thuds or some banging, and then, like I said, quickly after that, I heard screams from both girls and my wife.
Can you describe those screams?
Sure. The screams from the girls didn't. We have, having two girls in the house that are playing. They oftentimes, are loud and screaming. So that didn't really catch me off guard. But At the same time, my wife screamed and her scream distinctly, and I can hear it in my head right now, was a scream of horror and fear. And
All right, y'all. Hold on. I think I'm gonna go back to the one I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna have to do this one later because we literally already started watching the other one. So we're gonna go back to the case, the hearing we was watching the other day because it's live right now, and it's just better doing it when it's live. So hold on for a second. We will finish this because I see that one is real deep for sure. Give me a second. All right, I'm about to switch it over back to the one we was watching the other day. This is new, like this is live right now. So we're gonna just do that one. I think it will make more sense to go back to where we started at. And yeah.
Mr. Riley, who stands to my right. Thank you. You may have a seat, sir, and unlock his right hand.
Y'all know that audio is trash.
Your Honor, Devin Schultz on behalf of the people, also with me at council table, I have the officer in charge, Detective Kyle Meltz. All right, thank you. And are you ready we have any other issues other than proceeding with the continuation with your last witness? No, Your Honor, none of them. Okay, call your first witness for me, please. Your Honor, the people called Detective Kyle Meltz. Sir, as you're walking to the witness stand, you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this matter?
I do, Your Honor.
And upon being seated, state and spell your first and last name for the record.
First name is Kyle, K-Y-L-E, last name Mounts, M-O-U-N-T-Z.
Thank you. Your witness, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir. How are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been a detective for approximately 4.5 years. I've been in the Sheriff's Office for 9 years.
With Pontiac the entire time?
I've been with Pontiac for approximately 7 years.
Were you working on June 3rd, 2025?
Yes, I was.
In what capacity?
I was working my regular detective shift, which is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
At some point on June 3rd, 2025, did you receive a dispatch to the United Wholesale Mortgage Sports Complex?
I did not personally. I was off duty at that time.
Did you come to learn of an incident at the sports complex?
Yes, I did.
How so?
I was assigned as the officer in charge of the case the following morning.
Would that have been on June 4th?
Correct.
So when you were assigned this case, did you learn generally the nature of the incident?
Yes.
And what did you learn?
I learned that the United Wholesale Mortgage Company, their sportsplex on South Boulevard in the city of Pontiac, that a local charter school was having their graduation ceremony for their seniors, and that while during the ceremony there was a fight that broke out, that our sheriff's office was contacted for crowd control. That then there was an incident involving individuals with firearms on the property.
And at some point during the course of your investigation, were you able to identify any individuals who were involved with the firearms?
Yes.
And how so?
There is security footage from United Wholesale Mortgage that I was able to access and review.
Did you identify whether an individual named Mr. Davion Whaley was involved?
Yes.
And at some point in time, did you yourself speak with and interview Mr. Whaley?
Yes, I did.
When would that have been?
That would have been June 5th in the afternoon.
And when you interviewed Mr. Whaley, did you read him his Miranda rights?
Yes, I did.
Were you with another detective?
I was.
Who would that have been?
Detective Johnson.
At the time that you interviewed Mr. Whaley, had you watched all of the surveillance footage as it relates to the incident?
Yes.
So I want to ask you about that interview. Did you ask Mr. Whaley who he was at the sports complex with on June 3rd, 2025?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me he was there with 3 individuals named Flex, Harden, and Jamil.
And did you understand these to be real names or nicknames?
Nicknames.
Did you ask Mr. Whaley about how he had arrived at the sports complex that day?
Yes, I did.
What did he tell you?
He told me that he arrived in a ended up being a Hyundai Elantra sedan.
Did he state whether he was with anybody in the Elantra?
Yes, he was with those previously mentioned individuals.
Did Mr. Whitley tell you why he had gone to the sports complex that day?
I believe to attend the ceremony.
Did Mr. Whitley tell you anything about anything that had occurred during the ceremony itself?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me that he was involved in a physical altercation, a fight that took place inside the ceremony, the stadium area.
Did Mr. Whitley tell you what he did, if anything, after the fight?
Yes.
What did he say?
He stated that he went outside, back to the Hyundai Elantra with the group that he was there with.
Did you at any point ask Mr. Whaley about whether he had a firearm on June 3rd, 2025?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He stated that he did have a firearm with him.
Did he tell you when he retrieved that firearm or armed himself with it?
Yes.
What did he say?
He stated that it was after one of the individuals he was with got hit by a car. He went and retrieved the firearm from the vehicle.
When you say the vehicle, what vehicle?
The Hyundai Elantra.
The Elantra. Did Mr. Whaley describe what that firearm looks like?
Yes.
What did he say?
He described it as a black handgun.
Did he tell you anything else about how he was carrying it or possessing it on that day?
Yeah, he stated that it was in his waistband of his shorts that he was wearing.
Now, when Mr. Whaley was being asked about the firearm being in his waistband, did he tell you exactly when that occurred on June 3rd, 2025?
I believe that's what he indicated. That would have been after his friend got hit by the vehicle.
Did Mr. Whaley tell you why he had a firearm with him that day?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said that he carries it for safety and that he knew there was going to be people there that he didn't actually get along with.
Now, you mentioned that Mr. Whaley had gone into the ceremony. Did he tell you whether or not he brought the firearm into the ceremony?
Oh, yeah, he denied that he had it on him in the ceremony.
So did he tell you why he retrieved the firearm when he was out in the parking lot?
Yeah, he stated that it was because he did not want to get hit by a vehicle.
Did Mr. Whaley make any other statements regarding the firearm to you?
For that specific day?
For that day, yes.
No.
Did Mr. Whaley tell you what he did with the firearm after the ceremony?
No, he didn't make any statements about what he did first with the firearm.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, your cross-examination.
Good morning, Detective Miles. Good morning. My name is Nicole Simpson. I represent Mr. Whaley. When Mr. Whaley told you that he had arrived with friends in reviewing the surveillance footage, was that true?
Yes.
When Mr. Whaley told you that he had arrived in I believe you said a Hyundai Elantra, was that true?
I don't recall the footage of him specifically arriving in the Elantra. So I don't know.
Was that the vehicle that was seized from Mr. Whaley and the other individuals?
Yes.
And the fight that occurred on June 3rd at UWM, was Mr. Whaley the instigator of that fight?
He did not appear to be, no.
In fact, Mr. Whaley did not get involved in that fight right away either, did he?
I don't believe so, no.
When you asked Mr. Whaley about why he carried a weapon, did he tell you because he received threats?
No, he did not say that.
Did he tell you it was for defensive purposes?
Yes.
And when you asked him why he retrieved it that day, did he specifically tell you because he didn't want to get hit by a car?
I believe that's what he said.
No further questions.
Thank Anything on redirect for this detective?
No redirect, Your Honor.
May he be thanked and excused?
Yes, please.
Deputy, you're thanked and excused. Be careful stepping down. Thank you. People have any other witnesses in this matter?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. The people are asked as to defendant Bailey.
Ms. Smith, is any witness on behalf?
No witnesses.
Okay, bind over arguments.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll keep it short. I know you've already seen all of the exhibits at the prior half of this preliminary exam. You just heard the testimony from Detective Mounts. Defendant Whaley, I'm asking you to bind him over on all counts. He's clearly visible in the surveillance footage with an extended magazine or the handle of a firearm sticking out of his pants. He in fact admitted that he did arm himself that day. And specifically, he admitted that he armed himself and started running down through the parking lot, as Your Honor saw in the video, after he saw his friend get hit by a car and after there had been this fight. So to the argument that he wasn't the instigator of the fight inside of the sports complex, it's irrelevant. Mr. Whaley still decided to take the action of going and retrieving a firearm and running down a car through a parking lot. You saw that surveillance footage. I want to also note that Mr. Whaley stated he did not have the firearm when he went into the sports complex. Instead, he only armed it when he started to run down after the car. All of these elements for carrying a concealed weapon and for carrying a firearm or going armed with unlawful intent are met. Unlawful intent is a specific intent crime, but it's for the intent of use. It's not against a specific person. Mr. Whaley, he claims it was self-defense. It's a question of fact. If he didn't want to get hit by a car, what was he going to do? Shoot up a car in order not to be hit by another vehicle? I would ask that you bind over on all charges. Thank you.
Mrs.
Your Honor, as to the CCW charge, we would concede that that one is for the trier effect. But for carrying with unlawful intent, Your Honor, the second element of that is that at the time, the defendant intended to use this weapon unlawfully against someone else. So under People v. Williams, which is 301 Mich. Act 282 from 2013, I have a copy if the court needs it. It states the evidence must establish that the accused departed from a location while equipped with a qualifying weapon in his or her possession, and at the time departing had the intent to use that weapon unlawfully against another person. The people have not shown that that's what Mr. Whaley has done. They have not shown any evidence that Mr. Whaley had any intent to use that firearm against any person, frankly. They have not shown any evidence that that weapon was aimed at someone, that that weapon was taken out of the waistband. So they've talked about a fight, but we don't know where these individuals from the fight were. We don't know if they left the complex. We don't know if the person who hit the co-defendant has left the complex. So whether or not he had a weapon in his waistband is frankly just not enough. And contrary also from Williams, it states that if you were to go with the prosecutor's position that just grabbing that weapon and having it, well, frankly, like the court said on Monday, having it unlawfully does not establish that a person goes armed. And that if the court were to go with that interpretation, then every crime where a qualifying weapon was carried unlawfully would qualify for a violation of MCL 750226. And that is why you have to have more with a specific intent. That is why they have to show more with a specific intent. Otherwise, every single weapon that was carried unlawfully would qualify as well. And so we are asking that you not bind over because of People v. Williams on the carrying with unlawful intent, and because we don't believe you can bind over on the carrying with unlawful intent. We don't believe you can bind over on the felony firearm.
Your Honor, may I make a brief rebuttal?
It's a question of fact as far as I'm concerned. Again, we got a 19-year-old armed with weapons, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the weapon with the barrel, carry 38 bullets in it.
Your Honor, this is the weapon that had the extended magazine. The Glock.
Extended magazine.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what a 19-year-old's doing with at the United Wholesale Mortgage, where there's potentially 1,000 people there. He's already gotten into a fight inside. He didn't leave the premises after the fight. He stuck around, armed with weapons, with some intent to do something, So I disagree with you, Madam Counsel. Defendant's bound over his charge. Bond is continued. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Castro, we are ready to get started on Mr. Dubin's matter for Nankin. Mr. Dubin.
Oh, that was a short hearing. Hey, everybody. Okay. Well, we may can get back into the other hearing. I don't know why I thought the hearing was gonna be longer. Hold on. I was editing a video I was about to get ready to drop. All right, hold on. Now I know the other case we were watching, the other trial we were watching just now is kind of very intense. Okay. Did y'all want to go back to watching that, or do y'all want to do another case? Because it's very intense. The surviving victim was on the stand referring to, you know, what happened. So y'all let me know if y'all want to go back to that, because that was another case. So the case we just caught up on was the second appearance of one of the suspects in the Michigan graduation mass shooting plot. Not that they did it, but they was planning on doing it. They went to Snapchat, okay, and put out that they was gonna shoot up the graduation, okay. We watched the first hearing the other day, so we went back again and watched the second hearing, which was real quick. Now, what we was doing at the beginning of the live was watching. I don't know if y'all have heard about the woman who's charged with murdering the foster family of her daughter after she was taken by the state. And we started watching it, but it got real intense. And I'm like, you know, I didn't know if I kind of saw a lot of y'all dropping off. So I didn't know if it was too intense and y'all just didn't want to watch that case. Because the surviving victim, which was the husband, was on the stand detailing what was going, like, you know, what happened. So y'all kind of let me know. Okay, y'all want to do it? Okay, so we'll just go ahead and go back to that. So it was yesterday that it originally aired, but I was tied up, so I couldn't do it yesterday. So we're gonna get back into it. So currently, hold on, I got to switch out. Hold on, I got to switch out my title again. Switch out my title again. So basically, we did two hearings. We're gonna at the end. It's gonna be two hearings. We've been I did. And they didn't get through too much besides, like I said, the surviving victim was still on the stand. And if y'all wondering, I've been trying to look at cases that, yes, foster care trauma is real. I have it myself for sure. I'm trying to look at cases that a lot of other people are not doing so we can do something different. Because like right now, a lot of people are covering the same case. And Michigan is starting to stream more and more of their trials. That's why I'm like, with the T. Grizzly situation, all these trials and hearings that they streaming, they didn't stream that one. Is still odd to me. But anyway, I'm trying to find ones that is not as popular. So that we can just look at something different, you know. And then of course we'll get back to our urban hip-hop trials on the 18th, because we have Julio Fulio suspect, well, defendant Alicia Andrews going to trial, and then we also have Young Dolph, alleged mastermind, going to trial. So yeah, we'll have that. Also, YNW Melly goes for a hearing on the 8th, which is in 2 days. We'll catch up with that. So yeah, so in between the hip hop urban drill trials and all that. I'm trying to find other trials to cover. That's just starting. More so in the true crime aspect, and I'm almost done, y'all. Yeah, just to have something else to do, cause y'all, the videos I've been doing is kind of just more so about the foolery that's going on YouTube surrounding some of the urban cases, and I'm kind of getting bored of doing that. All right, I think I done switched it back, so we'll go back. Who takes me? So we'll go back to this trial.
Immediately knew that there was something seriously wrong.
Was anybody saying any words?
So when I heard the scream, I immediately turned around and walked back into the kitchen and saw 3 individuals in the house with weapons, and they were, yelling, get down, the typical things that you would think that people breaking into your home with weapons would say, telling them to be quiet and trying to get control of the situation.
Can you describe those individuals that you saw?
So initially as I walked into the kitchen and they were in the living room, it was 3 African Americans, 2 male and 1 female.
Did you know any of them?
So before I even saw their faces, I knew that this was, I didn't know the 2 males, but I knew the female being Siobhan Benson.
How did you know that?
So we were made aware of threats through family court as being her foster parents, that she made threats that she would come to our house and take her daughter. So that was in the back of my mind, that it was actually discussed just a few weeks prior to that in family court. And so that was in our mind that there was that threat. So just when I saw 3 individuals breaking in their homes with guns, I knew instantly it was her.
And when you turned around and saw them, did that confirm what you had suspected?
Yes.
That individual, Siobhan Benson, the mother of True, your foster daughter, is she here in court today?
Yes.
Can you point please to where she's sitting and tell us what she's wearing?
She's wearing, my color vision, but she's wearing a shirt with a white undershirt underneath it. She's sitting at the table.
Thank you very much.
She's seated to your right or left at the table?
She's seated to my left.
Thank you. Your Honor, will the record reflect that the witnesses both pointed to and identified the defendant?
Without objection, record says so.
Thank you. You said you saw these 3 individuals and you also saw weapons.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I saw Miss Benson holding what looked, I'm not a weapons expert, but what looked like it was a handgun. I would describe it as something similar to a 9mm. The other 2 individuals looked what I would describe as longer guns. Don't know what type. But.
What were they doing with those guns?
So that happened. I mean, the first interaction was them just trying to come in and control the situation. And the first thing that happened was Miss Benson turned towards me, with her gun pointed, and told me to sit down in the corner of the kitchen, right around on the other side of a refrigerator. And so I was the first one to kind of told to sit down, and then she quickly pointed the gun towards my wife and told my wife to come and sit next to me. And then, from what I could see, the other two defendants were kind of getting control of the girls. My father-in-law was in our den, which is a small room right by the front door. And at some point, they brought him out into the kitchen and had him lay down.
Lay down how?
I didn't see necessarily how they had him lay down.
Did you hear?
Yeah, I could hear them kind of giving him orders to get, to get over here and lay down.
Okay. And what about the girls? Were you aware at that point of where they were?
Yeah, they were both in the living room. And for context, our house has an open floor plan, so the kitchen, dining room, and living room are all open from one end to the other.
What happens after the defendant has ordered both you and your wife to sit down in the kitchen by the fridge at gunpoint?
Well, she stood very close to us, leaning against our stove, and kind of took control of the whole situation from there, and stayed there pretty much the whole time, and had, in a very aggressive way, had conversations with us, and yelling at us and accusing us of things, and doing several things throughout the night. She was also, it was very clear that she she wanted to be in charge, and she was in charge of the two other defendants, making sure.
Speculation. Sustained.
Can you tell us what she was saying to the other two?
She was saying things like, she told them to get my father-in-law and bring him into the kitchen. There were a few things she said that I didn't necessarily hear, but I remember her being upset with one of them doing something that she didn't like, and she kind of corrected them, or and things like that, telling them to go upstairs, things like.
Do you know why she told them to go upstairs?
No.
Okay.
And she also, at the end of the event, there were things like my dog was right next to me, because he was a puppy and he was very afraid, and she ordered them to come and grab the dog and take him outside. She also, towards the end, brought her daughter and told them to bring her outside, and she had to come and get her coat and actually walk across us to get her coat. And she ordered the two men to do those things.
Do you remember anything else she might have ordered them to do?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. I think you also said she was yelling at you and your wife, maybe accusing you of things. Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes,
yes?
correct.
Can you tell us the things that she was saying that you remember?
So specifically, she was focused on one particular accusation related, and she was focused on my wife, accusing her of not letting True believe in God, and basically calling us evil and demonic and things like that, because we wouldn't let her believe in God, and just calling us, evil people, that we were a part of the system, and that we all took her daughter, and things of that nature.
Is that true, that you didn't let True believe in God?
Absolutely not. The irony of it is it's the opposite, because my father-in-law is an ordained pastor. My wife, up until she became a full-time mother, she also was an ordained minister with the Assemblies of God. We attend church every Sunday morning and every Wednesday night. We brought both girls to church. They were involved in kids' church and Sunday school. Every night, part of our bedtime routine is we would sit down and read the Bible and read one or two books with each girl before we went to bed. And then even for True, even tucking her into bed at night, she slept on a loft bed, and I would, either my wife or I would stand there and we would sing Christian songs to her to help her go to sleep.
How were you and your wife responding to this assault, to being yelled at, gun pointed at you, and accused of things?
Objection, uses what the wife said.
Judge, any of it would be an excited utterance, present sense impression. He's there, just asking for how they respond. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, it was very, very interesting. I sat there and I remember looking, I was right in front of the garage door, and I remember focusing on the hinge of the door, and I thought to myself, and I was praying, and I thought to myself, why am I not afraid? And I was kind of surprised at the fact that I wasn't obviously I was afraid, but I wasn't terrified and afraid like you would think. And I attribute that to my faith in God, and that He was helping both of us, all of us that night. But I tried to stay relatively calm, and I noticed my wife, some of the responses that she was saying. We were trying to, in a calm way, try to de-escalate the situation and try to answer the accusations and explain some of the things that she was saying to us, that she was obviously misunderstanding something or believed something that wasn't true. And I was trying to cooperate with some of her demands related to money, and just trying to calm the situation down, and hoping that she would just leave. And my wife, my wife is probably one of the most non-confrontational people that I've ever known. She doesn't like conflict, even if it's something simple. But she too tried to remain calm and answer in a way that she was trying to calm Miss Vincent down and respond cooperatively, as to not aggravate or provoke in a calm demeanor.
Did any of that work?
No, it seemed to agitate even more. Anytime we would say anything and try to explain, it made Miss Vincent even more upset and more aggressive.
Did she at any point talk to you about some kind of a plan?
Yes, the beginning of the conversation, she was making these assertions about, in a very aggressive way, how she would use words like, I'm a gangster and I've planned this all out. And she stated things like, I don't care if I spend the rest of my life in jail. I still have the ability to harm you, even behind bars. Made statements like that, and it was very clear that she wanted that she was in charge and that she wanted us.
I'm going to overrule that one. I think he's got enough foundations for his conclusion.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was clear to me that she wanted us to believe that she had power over us, and that that she was not just some person who just did this on a whim, that she had been planning it, and that everything that she was doing was orchestrated in a way, and in a way that seemed like she was trying to intimidate us further and make us afraid.
I believe I heard you testify a moment ago that at some point she also brought up money. Did I hear that right?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
So at one point, after getting through the conversation, if you call it a conversation, but getting through a lot of the accusations and all that, she turned and said, "Where do you keep the money?" And my response was that where I was sitting was, as I mentioned, was right in front of the garage, the door out to the garage, and on the wall I keep my keys and my wallet right by the door. And so I told her, I said, "Well, my wallet's right there. I think I have a couple $100 in it." I said, "Please, take that." I mentioned, we just had Christmas, so probably the most expensive gift we got for the girls or for my daughter was a Nintendo Switch, which was like $300 or $400. So I mentioned that. I was like, there's a Nintendo Switch, you can take that. And she wasn't interested in that. And I think even one of the other defendants kind of laughed it off, like that was, they didn't want anything to do with that. That wasn't, real money. Or so she said, "Where's the other money?" And we don't have a safe with thousands of dollars in it in our house. So I said, "It's in the bank." And somehow the conversation turned to how could we get that money? And I said something. I said, "I have a Venmo app, but I believe that the limit for transfer is like $500, something like that." And I said something along the lines that, even if I were to go down to the bank to try to get out a large sum of money, it would, from my understanding, it would be a process. It wouldn't just be them handing me a lot of money if it's a large amount. So I was trying to say, "I don't know what you want me to do or say." And so at that point, she took my wallet and the credit cards, and she already had my phone. She took all of our phones when she had us sit down. And so she stood there with the gun in one hand, my phone in the other hand, and she demanded me to give her my bank password. So she stood there for however long it took, and I found out later she transferred a total of $6,000 out of my account in two transfers, one for $5,000 and one for $1,000.
Through the use of a particular app?
Yeah, it was through Zelle, because I guess, which I didn't know, that Zelle can have a higher amount to transfer.
At some point, did you get your wallet or did she get your wallet?
Yeah, she took my wallet and took the credit cards out of my wallet.
If you said that already and I missed it, I
No,
apologize.
no problem.
So you watched her take your wallet from the shelf and take the credit cards out? Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Thank you. I am showing you two pictures. They are marked as people's proposed exhibits 3 and 4. Are they pictures of things that you recognize?
Yes,
What are the pictures of?
they are pictures of credit cards that belong to me and my family.
Are those the credit cards that you just referenced that were taken by the defendant from your wallet that day?
Yes,
And those are fair and accurate representations of what those cards look like?
yes.
Thank you. May I approach again, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. Mr. Bernhardt, I'm now showing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit 5. That's also a picture, correct?
Correct.
What is that a picture of?
It's a picture of some jewelry and a watch.
Do you recognize that jewelry and watch?
Yes, the jewelry, the earrings are pictures of earrings that my wife had and wore. The watch is a watch that was mine, that was upstairs in our bedroom.
Were you aware of those? Strike that. Is that picture a fair and accurate representation of those items that you just described for us?
Yes,
Okay. Were you aware of any items being taken from the upstairs of your home that day, that night?
at that point, I was not aware, no.
Did you give permission for anybody to take any of those things?
No.
Did anybody else in your presence give permission for those items? to be
No.
taken? What happens after the defendant has taken your credit cards, has your phone, and makes $6,000 worth of a financial transfer?
So there was a couple things that happened during that time.
Okay.
One of which, going back to the response that I made as far as how we responded during that time, there was something that I said trying to answer a question or trying to de-escalate, where I must have said something that was wrong or that made someone upset, but the first violent act was I was hit in the forehead, right on my eyebrow, with what I believe was the butt of a weapon.
Who did that to you?
I believe it was Miss Vincent.
And I'm sorry, when in that process did that take place? At some point when you were
That was kind of early on. The one thing about this whole night is I kept thinking to myself, why are they still here? The amount of time that they spent in our home seemed like a very long time for somebody just coming in, to take their daughter. And I kept thinking, why are they here? So this felt like a very long time. But that first initial act of violence was the first thing that happened. So that was probably during the time when she was making the accusations, and I was trying to answer and explain why she may have felt or thought that we were keeping her daughter from believing in God, which was completely not true. And I was trying to explain that, and at that point, I was struck in the face, and it broke my glasses, and it hurt really, really bad. Then some time passed, and it was after, I believe it was after the conversation about the money. Again, I must have said something that was a trigger or made her upset. But I was shot in the chest, and the left side of the chest, and because I was seated, I think, and I'm not a forensics expert or anything, but I think because of the angle where I was seated, probably helped save my life. And so I was shot, the angle kind of went in my chest, and bounced off a few ribs, 3 ribs were broken, my spleen was damaged. And I remember feeling, it actually, I remember feeling the bullet inside. I don't know anything about bullets, but I know bullets, when they hit, they're made to kind of fracture and kind of do more damage. And I could feel that literally, where it felt like fireworks were going off on the inside of me. And I still have bullet fragments in my back that I could feel. So that was the first shot, and amazingly enough, that didn't. I was still able to sit there. It hurt, like you would not imagine, but I still sat there, and I still tried to calm things down and be engaged at that point. And then it was, I think they had already taken True outside, and the dog. And so True had to get her coat, and came up, walked across us. She actually wanted to give us, my wife and I, a hug.
Did she get to do that?
No. And the other thing that made Miss Vincent very upset was True referred to us as mommy and daddy. And so that made her more upset when she said that, and she wanted to give us a hug. But they quickly, she ordered one of the men to basically take her and get her outside, and that's what they did. Got her coat and brought her outside.
Was that before or after you were shot?
That was before.
One of those men was ordered by the defendant to take True and the dog outside?
Yeah, at 2 different times. I mean, the dog was the first thing, because like I mentioned earlier, the dog was scared. He was a puppy. He was only a few months old. So he was literally next to my right leg as I was sitting there. And I was trying to console the dog, because I was thinking if the dog made any noise or growled or seemed vicious at all or barked, that they would just shoot the dog in front of the girls. And I mean, those girls, they love the dog. So I was trying to keep that from happening. So I had my right hand on the dog, trying to console the dog and pet him. And quickly she got nervous about that, the fact, if I would possibly do something with the dog. And so, she said, "What are you doing with the dog?" And I tried to explain. And then she said she didn't like that. So then she ordered one of the men to come and get the dog. And I asked, I said, "Can I put the dog in?" There was our laundry room was right next to where I was sitting. So I said, "Can I just put the dog into the laundry room and close the door?" And she said, "No." So they took the dog and brought the dog outside.
Who shot you?
Who shot who?
Who shot you?
Oh, who shot me? Miss Vincent.
You've told us that True was taken outside before that, and the dog. What about Libby?
So Libby, my daughter, was initially in the living room, and Miss Vincent ordered her short, the time frame. Not sure exactly how long, but it was not too long after we were sitting down. So I think from what Libby told me initially, she was kind of hiding, or she was crouched down by the end of the couch. So Miss Vincent ordered her into the kitchen and told her to stand on the other side of her. And so at that point, when she came, she had clear view, probably standing about 7 feet from us, from my wife and I, just on the other side of Miss Vincent, and told Libby to stand there and not to move. And she stayed there the rest of the night.
So Libby was standing there when you got hit in the head with the butt of a gun?
Yes.
Libby was standing there when you got shot the first time?
Yes.
How close was the defendant to you when she shot you the first time?
So she was probably about, so I was sitting next, I was sitting, my wife was sitting just to my left, about a foot from me. And then Miss Vincent was probably a foot or two from her. So, I mean, less, I'd say 3 to 4 feet from me.
Did she say anything to you before or when she was shooting?
No, the only thing I remember about being shot in the head was she didn't say anything to me, but the last thing I remember right before that happened was my wife in a calm, but you could tell that there was fear in her voice. She said, "Please, Siobhan, don't do anything you'll regret." And that just triggered Siobhan. And she got very angry and she said something along the lines, "I'll show you what I'll regret." And then from what I remember, right after that is when I was shot in the head.
Is that the last thing you heard your wife say?
Yes.
What happened after you got shot in the head?
So I was shot in the right side of my head, right in the forehead. There's a plate right in my forehead. And as I said, probably the angle, I believe that, I've said this publicly, I believe that God was with me that day. But the angle, it went through my forehead, through my right eye, down to the top of the inside of my mouth. And I just recently, actually, about a month and a half ago, had 2 surgeries to remove bullet fragments from under my tongue because they were causing so much pain and I couldn't barely eat. So the angle of the gun or the bullet, I think that was part of the reason my life was spared. I remember being aware of of the fact that I was shot in the head. I remember the sensation of blood, and I describe it like a river of hot, like fluid flowing from my head. And I fell forward, and I remember the last thing, I was aware of being shot in the head, and the first thing I thought was, when you're shot in the head, you die. So I was in my mind thinking that I'm about to die. And I laid down, and the thing I said, God, help me. And what I was asking for was, God, help me go through whatever transition, death, whatever that looks like. I wasn't afraid of dying because I believe in God and that I'm going to go to be with him, but I didn't know what that transition was like. So I prayed that prayer, and then I passed out. And then at some point, I believe it, somewhere around 15 minutes, somehow I gained consciousness again. And I remember the first thing that I thought was, I didn't have that sensation of that blood flowing from my head. So I thought, maybe I'm not going to die. And so I sat up and I found some strength there we have a bench right where the shoes are. And so I found some strength to sit up on the bench. And I knew that they had taken our phones. I didn't know if they were still in the house or not. But the first thing I thought was, I have to go and get to the neighbor's house and get help. So I sat there and I was putting my shoes on, and when the thing, probably one of the hardest things is, as I sat there and I was putting my shoes on, I looked over and saw my wife. And I knew the moment I saw her, she was dead. She was sitting there. She wasn't even laying down. She was sitting there, and her head was hanging down, and I just literally saw blood flowing from her chin. That's an image that will stay with me the rest of my life. But I put my shoes on, and I opened the garage door, and I hesitated, and I said, Lord, please don't let them be in the driveway. And I hit the button to open the garage door and walked out the garage. They were already gone. And I walked over to my neighbor's house, and my first neighbor wasn't home. And so I ended up having to walk down the street to our other neighbor's house. And fortunately, they were home, and they were amazing. They brought me in, sat me down, and called 911. And an officer from Northfield Township Police Department was the first one to show up. And he was amazing. All of the officers and both Northfield and the county sheriff's office have been amazing through this. But he took some information about. He was asking my neighbor some questions as well. Obviously, I was sitting there bleeding and hurt, but I was still conscious. I was still able to answer questions, and I remember after him asking my name and like who is in the house and things like that. I remember him saying, he said, okay, he put his arm on my shoulder to kind of comfort me, and he said, okay, I'm not going to ask you any more questions. And we were still waiting for the ambulance to show up. And I remember saying, that's okay. If there's anything you need, I remember what happened. And he said, do you remember who did this to you? And I said, yes. And I gave him Miss Vincent's name and even spelled it for him. And then the ambulance came and took me to the hospital.
Did you see anyone else in the house before you left?
No.
No, just your wife, as you described?
Yeah.
Okay. So Livy was not there anymore as far as you could see?
No.
Did the defendant have permission to be in your home that night?
No.
Did the defendant have permission and authority to take True from your home?
No.
Did the defendant have permission and authority to take your daughter, Olivia, from your home?
No.
All right, y'all. It just started to thunder where I'm at, okay? And I'm gonna have to get up off of here. I want to pause it right here. We still got like 2 more hours of this. I'll go live again later on in the week. Probably this weekend we'll finish this up because hold on, let me check the thing. Oh Lord, it came out of nowhere. Friday we got a Melly hearing, so I'll be live Friday for the Melly hearing. Yeah, between now and next week we'll finish this. So to my understanding, Key, it was more so he said the main issue that the mom had was with his wife about God. It's definitely a deep situation. It seems like the mom may have some issues. Like, I don't really know her whole backstory, but just based off what was said from the beginning to now, it was an issue of how they was raising her. They haven't let it come out yet about why the child was removed from the mom. But to go to this extent, robbery, all that, I just think the mama just was mixed up in a lot of stuff. But, you know, maybe it'll come out once the defense get in there. But we'll finish this. I think her trial is going to be next year, like the official trial. I do know she is going to trial. This is just a prelim hearing. That's one reason why I do like Michigan courts, because they do the prelim, the judge decide if it's enough to go to trial, then they have the trial. So it kind of gives us more to watch. But if this is just the beginning of what we're going to see at trial, I don't see how she's going to beat it. But, you know, hey, innocent until proven guilty. So we'll finish this. Like I said, I'll be back live Friday for the Melly hearing. Depending on how long the Melly hearing is, we may pick this back up Friday. If not, between now and the 17th, we'll finish it, because y'all know on the 18th, we're back to a full trial, which is probably going to last about a week or so. So yeah, so we're back at it, y'all. Like I said, I'm just finding different trials or hearings to watch that's not really mainstream, so we can have something different to talk about, and so that we can just stay focused on the type of content that we want. Y'all know right now there's a lot of hood booger-ish going on the internet. All right, so y'all get in the comments. I did, for those who's following the OTL case, I did just drop a video on that. Y'all make sure y'all check that out. And as always, y'all make sure anytime you pull up on the live, just jump in the comments. Y'all know that's how, look, that's what helps me monetize my lives is by y'all interaction, getting in the comments. I don't care if it's 5 of y'all. If we stay in the comments, that helps me. That's the way that you can support me. So shout out to everybody that jumped in the comments. Shout out to everybody that viewed it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. I'll pull up on your girl, Mickey Truth. I'm out.
Mickey talks the truth. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind.
Hey, listen, you are now rocking with Mickey Truth. She live up to her name, not the fame. So make sure y'all subscribe to her channel and stay updated on what's real. Bye.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey.
Hold on, wait, before I go, y'all make sure y'all tap in with me to book your slot. A lot of y'all be hitting me up on Instagram and the email wanting to just talk about content, whether you're an up-and-coming content creator or somebody just got questions about cases or whatever. Book your consultation with me now. The information is on the screen. Hey, make sure you get your slot, because my slots be filling up fast.